GR IAS Academy.
Hello everyone, welcome to GR IAS Academy. Today we are on day 10 of Mission Surya Programme. It is a 100-day prelims marathon program in which we will be covering 100 important themes from current affairs which are important for prelims 2026. Let's see the first topic today. So first topic is PM 2.5, that is particulate matter 2.5. We have different types of particulate matter like PM 10, PM 2.5 and PM 1. So this number defines the diameter of that particles. So here 2.5 refers to 2.5 micrometer diameter. If we compare it with the human hair, its diameter is like 1/30th of the diameter of human hair. So it is that smaller. Because of its size, it gets suspended in the air for longer durations. It doesn't settle down easily. Let's see a few more properties and how it acts as a pollutant. Here we have the PM 2.5 particle. It is smaller than the red blood cell and little bigger than the virus and bacteria. So like if we see the other properties, PM 2.5, because of its size, it goes into the lungs directly when we breathe air, if it is suspended in the air. It enters the air sacs that is present in the lungs, that are alveoli. From the alveoli, that is the air sacs, it enters the bloodstream. From the bloodstream, it goes to different organs and causes inflammation there. And recent studies have confirmed that it even crosses the blood-brain barrier. Blood-brain barrier is a biological arrangement wherein in our brain, blood vessels are so tightly packed, there are no gaps in between the blood vessels, so that external particles do not enter the brain. But these particles are so tiny that it even crosses the blood-brain barrier. So if we compare PM 2.5 and PM 10, PM 2.5 is more dangerous because PM 10, as it has 10 micrometer diameter, it just gets stuck in the upper respiratory tract when we breathe in. Whereas 2.5, because of its tiny size, it enters the bloodstream and also travels to the various organs. So PM 2.5 is more dangerous to human health. Central Pollution Control Board (CPCB) gives National Ambient Air Quality Standards, that is the permissible or safe limits for the pollutants. Permissible limits. For PM 2.5, the permissible limits given according to NAAQS is 40 microgram per meter cube annual average, and if we take 24 hours average, these are the averages, it should be less than 60 microgram per meter cube of air. These are the permissible limits as per CPCB. So what all particles are included under PM 2.5? It includes tiny soot, fine dust particles, and also certain kinds of aerosols. And other pollen grains or bacteria and virus are also considered as PM 2.5. So that is all. It's a primary pollutant which is harmful to human health. Let's see the next topic. Next topic is IUCN assessment criteria. We all know that there is a red list or the threatened species list under IUCN. And the red list has three categories. Red list of threatened species under IUCN, it has three categories, that is vulnerable, endangered and critically endangered. How are species placed under these categories? That depends upon these five criteria. So if we see these criteria, first one is population reduction. So if we have a large population of a species, if we compare the populations of different time periods, if you notice that the population is declining sharply over a certain period of time, then that is seen as a danger sign. Then we understand that that species is threatened if there is sharp decline in population. And the second criteria is restricted geographical range. If the species are restricted to small geographical area, if in case a disaster occurs, that single disaster can wipe off that entire species. So again it is a danger sign. I mean, the restriction to small geographical range is also a danger sign. and the small population size and decline. If the species population size is smaller and also there is a decline in the population, then it is a sign of threat. Here population size doesn't matter. Whatever may be the population size, if there is sharp decline, then it is a sign of threat. But here small population and declining parallelly. Here very small population or the restricted population. Even if it is not declining over here, if the population size is smaller and it is restricted to a small geographical range, then it is again a sign of threat. We also categorize based on the extinction probability analysis done through some scientific methods. So based on these 5 criteria, we categorize the species into these 3 as red list. So let's move on to the next topic. Nagoya Protocol. Nagoya Protocol is a supplementary agreement to UNCBD, that is United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity. What is UNCBD? UNCBD was a convention part of the historical Rio Earth Summit that has happened on 5th June 1992. So it is a part of Rio Earth Summit. So under the UNCBD, that is United Nations Convention on Biodiversity, we have 3 goals. That is to conserve the biodiversity, this is the first goal, and then to use the biological diversity sustainably, that is a sustainable use of biodiversity. And the third goal is to share the benefits that has occurred from the sustainable use of biodiversity, fair and equitable sharing. So in order to implement this third goal, we brought in the Nagoya Protocol. Convention is not legally binding, whereas protocol is legally binding. So this Nagoya Protocol was brought in 2010 at COP10 to UNCBD, which has happened at Nagoya in Japan. So this was brought in 2010. Basically, it provides a legal framework with respect to the access and benefit sharing of the biological resources. For example, if a researcher has to do research on the biological species, he cannot directly enter to any area, do research and just make money out of it. He has to share the benefits to the original deciders there. There is a legal framework that is required to ensure this. So this Nagoya Protocol is such a legal framework. And if you see, it ensures prior informed consent and the mutually agreed terms between the provider and user. So there is a provider, per se a person or a country provides genetic resources, and there is a user, a person who does research. So between them, the user cannot directly go and do research. He needs to take a prior informed consent from the provider, and also there should be a mutually agreed terms document. And based on that document, the benefit sharing has to occur. So between the provider and user, we have these 2 things. And India is a party to this Nagoya Protocol, that it is ratified by India. And in India, implementation occurs through Biological Diversity Act 2002 and also by the National Biodiversity Authority. So if a foreigner has to do research in India, he has to take the prior informed consent from the National Biodiversity Authority, that is permission from NBA. So this is all about Nagoya Protocol. Let's move on to the next topic. Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So it is a legal framework by the government to protect animals, plants, birds and their habitats. So if we see, we have 4 schedules under WPA. In 2021, we brought in the 4 schedules. Before that, we had 6 schedules under WPA. So after the amendment that has happened in 2021, the schedules were rationalized and made 4. So first schedule is for the protection of animals that are endangered. Like first schedule shows the highest level of protection. And second schedule is for the species that requires lesser levels of protection. That means they are not very threatened. And schedule 3 is for the protected plant species. And schedule 4 is for the species listed under CITES. What is CITES? Sorry. CITES controls the international trade in the endangered species. So for all these species listed under CITES, we have brought in the schedule 4. That is all about these schedules. Let's see few more details. It provides a legal framework for the protection of animals and other species. Under this Wildlife Protection Act 1972, we have established protected areas like national parks, wildlife sanctuaries and other community reserves for the protection of various animals and plants. And under this we have also created certain institutions to oversee the implementation and to coordinate the activities. That is National Board for Wildlife and Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. And if we see, there are certain species that are included in the schedules per se in the schedule 1, but they are not safe because they are outside the protected areas. This is an issue with respect to this act and we need to rectify it. Though the WPA applies across India, if the species are present outside the protected areas, the enforcement is little weaker. So those species are protected but still not safe. For example, if we take gangetic dolphin, almost 100% of them are present outside the protected areas where enforcement is little weaker. So that's all. Let's see the next topic. That is Priya-Vihar dispute. It is a disputed religious site, that is a temple site between Thailand and Cambodia. Remember, it is a 11th century Hindu temple dedicated to Lord Shiva. It is not a Buddhist site but a Hindu site dedicated to Lord Shiva, which is located on Cambodia-Thailand border. And to settle this dispute, International Court of Justice has stepped in. It has ruled in favor of Cambodia, but still the tensions are continuing. So in 2013, International Court of Justice has ruled in favor of Cambodia, but still Thailand has installed their military over there, and this has taken a violent turn in 2025. So this is also a site included under UNESCO World Heritage Sites list in 2008, and UNESCO sites and the disputed regions are important thing for UPSC. So this is all about Priya-Vihar site. Just remember, it's a disputed temple site between Thailand and Cambodia. So this is the last topic for today, that is Madden-Julian oscillation. Before this, so what is an oscillation? Oscillation refers to the back and forth changes between different states. So in geography, when we see Madden-Julian oscillation or ENSO, the El Nino Southern oscillation, here the oscillation is occurring between two different pressure zones or two different temperatures. So Madden-Julian oscillation is a tropical disturbance wherein different phases like the low pressure, high pressure, low pressure, high pressure zones are present continuously. It travels throughout the globe. If we see, if we take the tropical region, it travels something like this. So Madden-Julian oscillation is a tropical disturbance where there are continuous high pressure and low pressure zones are present. If we take this, it travels in the eastward direction with a certain speed, and this particular thing, that is the low pressure and high pressure thing, is present for up to 30 to 60 days in a region, and after that 30 to 60 days it again moves forward. Like if we take it like this, there are two different phases in this oscillation. One is the upward mobility phase and other is the downward mobility phase. So here air is moving upwards. That means in geography we know that when there is low pressure zone present on the earth, air moves upwards, travels to a certain height, air cools down and forms clouds. It results in the atmospheric instability or the rainfall occurs in the low pressure zone. Whereas in the high pressure zone, air descends and there is no rainfall. So the upward moment occurs at the low pressure zone and the downward moment occurs at the high pressure zone. So at the low pressure zone, air moves and through the normal lapse rate it cools down, forms clouds and then gives rainfall. So rainfall occurs in the low pressure zones, and here no rainfall, or it is relatively stable, like stable atmospheric condition. So when this is called as enhanced convection phase, and this high pressure part is called as suppressed convection phase. So for example, over a region for certain time, that is up to 30 to 60 days, low pressure zone is present, and after that this Madden-Julian oscillation moves forward, and over the same region for again next up to 30 to 60 days, high pressure zone is present. Like that, continuous low and high pressure zones keeps on occurring over a region. So when there is low pressure zone over a region because of the oscillation or because of the disturbance, high rainfall occurs in that region. So if we see here, there is a low pressure zone near the Indian Ocean, and then there is high pressure zone, low pressure zone over Indian Ocean, then we have high pressure zone near the Indonesia area, and again the low pressure zone in the Pacific Ocean. So again somewhere here there will be high pressure zone. That means the Madden-Julian oscillation is traveling like this over this region. So I hope this oscillation is clear. Let's see a few more details about Madden-Julian oscillation. So Madden-Julian oscillation, MJO, is a large scale eastward moving disturbance of clouds, rainfall, winds and pressure near the equator. So it occurs only in the tropical zones predominantly, and it is eastward moving. That is, it moves in this direction, in the eastward, and so it is present throughout the globe, I mean in the entire tropical region. So it keeps on traveling from Indian Ocean to Pacific, then to Atlantic, and then again comes backward. As it is moving continuously, it is a traverse phenomena. Whereas ENSO is the southern oscillation, that is El Nino southern oscillation occurring between 2 points in the southern hemisphere, that is between the Indonesia and some region in the East Pacific. So it occurs only between these two specific points. ENSO is stationary. The oscillation is occurring between two specific points, whereas Madden-Julian is a traverse condition because it keeps on traveling. So few more key characteristics. We have seen that it stays over a period, I mean the particular pressure zone stays over a period for 30 to 60 days. That means the oscillation travels with the speed, travels with 30 to 60 days, within 30 to 60 days. And the direction is eastward. It travels with a particular speed, that is 4 to 8 meter per second, and it is confined to tropical latitudes. Because of this, intraseasonal variability occurs. Let's see this in a while. So how does it affect the Indian monsoon? when the low pressure part of MJO, that is Madden-Julian oscillation, is present over the Indian Ocean, as it is shown here, this is the Indian Ocean part. When the low pressure zone, I mean the enhanced convection zone of the Madden-Julian is present over here, air rises up, it cools down, forms clouds and causes rainfall over Indian Ocean and over India. So when the low pressure part of MJO is over Indian Ocean, it causes rainfall in the Indian Ocean region. If we take monsoon, so our monsoon is from June to September. So in these 4 months, the Madden-Julian oscillation, as it occurs, the cycle is for 30 to 60 days. In these 4 months, 2 times we will have low pressure zones and 2 times we will have high pressure zones as it keeps on traveling. So whenever we have low pressure over the Indian Ocean, we will have high monsoon rains over India, and whenever there is high pressure, there are comparatively lower monsoon rains. Again that repeats. So the cycle occurs for 2 times, I mean 2 low pressure and 2 high pressure gets created in 4 months if the cycle occurs for 30 days. But if the cycle occurs for 50 or 60 days, in those 4 months monsoon period, only 1 low pressure and 1 high pressure occurs. That means only once monsoon rains will be higher. So whenever the cycle is for 30 days, it is good for Indian monsoons. If the cycle length increases for 50 or 60 days, it is comparatively lesser, it gives comparatively less benefits. So if we see this, when there is strong MJO, that is strong low pressure part of MJO is over Indian Ocean, we will have active monsoon spells. When the MJO moves forward, that is when there is low pressure zone over the Western Pacific, we will have high pressure over Indian Ocean. That means air descends and there is no rainfall. That breaks the monsoon conditions in India. And it changes the monsoon rainfall. It causes the extreme rainfall events during the monsoon, and it also results in cyclogenesis. If there is low pressure zone over Indian Ocean, it may cause the tropical cyclones. So it results in cyclogenesis in Indian Ocean. So that is it. Just remember, it is a tropical disturbance which is moving eastward, and when the low pressure zone is present over Indian Ocean, it is good for Indian monsoon. So that's all for today. For detailed notes on these topics, please visit our WhatsApp and Telegram channels. Links are provided in the description. And also to get the regular updates on Mission Surya program, please visit our YouTube channel and subscribe. Thank you.